So let us continue talking about the allegory of the cave by Plato. Now, as I had expressed before, the allegory of the cave is such a significant psychological component when it talks about light and it talks about life and being enlightened. Now, in the cave, in this allegory, was where you had these prisoners who were chained by the neck and by the legs from childhood. Because they were chained, they were unable to turn their heads to see the reality. Now there is a wall of the cave to where the prisoners are based, and they've only known this reality since childhood. And then there is a fire and an outer wall and a screen through which people are passing by, and they erect a standard or a puppet when they pass. And to the prisoners, this created shadows. So the only reality that the prisoners knew were the shadows, and they could sometimes be scary. Now, it's just a synonymy in childhood when you have certain traumas or you were taught a way of thinking since you were a child, it becomes your only reality. And as I mentioned before, it creates these brain waves and patterns, and you're so stuck in your subconscious drives. You're so stuck in your subconscious thoughts about what your reality is. If you have been what has been projected onto you as a child growing up, and you're in the darkness and you have not seen the light, you will think this is your own reality. Now, when a prisoner escapes and he journeys up into the light, initially that prisoner cannot see properly because the light is so blinding. So he is not able to accept the reality at first. So the path to enlightenment and the path to healing takes time. And when you actually go out of the cave, that journey is such an amazing journey. And that prisoner can see the reflection of his face in the water. And he has not looked up into the sky yet. But when he does eventually look up into the sky and he sees the stars and the spangles, he is amazed. Then he sees the sun, and the sun is the ultimate source of light. Now, this is indicative of our menopausal journey because we are, as women, we are kind of taught to think one way: become a mother, get your education, nurture your husband, nurture your partner, which is all great. But when you reach that transition of menopause, that is like the sun. That is a light. That is that one epiphany when we transition to a different perspective. We now start to live our lives for ourselves, and we live a beautiful or best life ever. Now, that sun, which I call menopause, it's such a significant transition in a woman's life. And this I can tell you because I saw my son. I had my menopause and I'm now postmenopausal, and I see life from a different perspective. Now, the lessons that I learned when prior to my menopause, they are so significant because they are a part of who I am and the foundation of who I am. But that menopause marks a rebirth and a renaissance. It marks a woman's transition into the rest of her life, which can sometimes last 40, 50 years. So now is her time to live her best life. You lived your life before, had your epiphany, menopause, and you're postmenopausal. So, as I say, live your best life in menopause, shine and bloom. Take care.